fair warning, this video talks a little bit about suicide, eating disorders, basically anything that is included in Heathers, so be warned. Slow to investigate fads as always, I only recently got into Heathers the musical. The score is so catchy and entertaining to listen to, especially songs like Candy Store and My Dead Gay Son. I adore all the voices in the world premiere cast recording, particularly those of the women who play Veronica and Heather Chandler. I was gonna try to say their names here, but after so many takes trying to say Barrett Wilbur Weed, I can't even say it now. After so many takes of trying to say it, I'm just gonna skip. Barrett Wilbert Weed and Jessica Keenan Wynn. Yeah, there's no way I would have done that. Yeah, it's the same old tired and worn out high school story, but with enough twists and explorations that I don't mind as much here as I do in shows like, say, Be More Chill. Fun story, when I was listening to the cast recording for the first time, I went in blind. I'd never seen the film from which the show was based on or read a synopsis beforehand. I started out thinking that it was just a cookie cutter relatable character versus the popular story, and as could be expected, I was unsure and shocked by what I was listening to as the album went on. It wasn't clear how I was to think about a musical that at once used tried and true tropes from teen movies while also including faking suicides, a pro-gay revolution, and attempts to blow up a school. One word that didn't come to mind to describe what I just experienced though was comedic. Yes, there are some laughable moments in the show. I just watched a bootleg of a performance and it got a few chuckles out of me, but most other funny points where the audience laughed didn't land with me. Instead of laughing, I responded with silence, sorrow, and a tad bit of cringe at the humor attempt that I felt didn't really fit with the tone of the scene. Why don't I find Heathers funny? Partially it's because I felt some of the comedic moments were a little tasteless because they were juxtaposed by some seriously dark stuff. Like, I'm not encouraged to laugh as a couple of guys sing a song in which they attempt to pressure a girl into sex by whining about their blue balls right after her supposed friend purposely put her in that position. I'm an empathetic person. A really empathetic person. Like, so empathetic that Joker really messed me up so badly that I'm happily repressing my memories of it. So when I see a person in an about to be raped scenario, I don't feel like laughing because all I can focus on is how they must feel in universe, not what the show wants me to feel through its portrayal of the scene. I can't really chuckle along with the audience as Heather Chandler abuses Heather Duke, especially now that I know that she'll do the same to Heather McNamara later in the show. All I can see is the thoughtless adherence to hierarchical violence. Yes, I do laugh at points like Heather Chandler critiquing her suicide note that Veronica forged, so I'm not an utter killjoy, but I like that more as an expression of Heather who haunts Veronica throughout the show and snarkily comments on everything that happens to her after her death. Humor is subjective. I'm glad that some people find the show funny and enjoyable, and am in no way trying to disparage any of them. A lot of that comes down to personal experience and preference. For me and my brand of humor, this is a slushy too far past the point of enjoyable brain freezes. But more so than what feels to me, in my opinion, to be tasteless humor, I can't really laugh along because of how much empathy I feel for the characters in general and how much I personally relate to them. Extending from why I can't find certain gags humorous, I hate seeing characters' pain being used as a butt of a joke when I feel what they're feeling. It's not all that funny to me when the show jokes about Martha's memories of Ram from kindergarten because I understand that she's desperately holding on to a more pleasant time where she felt accepted and loved by her peers, before she was just Martha dump truck to them. It's not all that funny to me when Pauline Fleming treats Heather Duke's bulimia as a quirky character trait because it implies that for as much as she claims to care about the students, she's also willing to allow one to kill herself through an eating disorder simply because of how she doesn't like her or her friends. Yeah, she does get criticized later for being all talk and no honest investment in the students, but that doesn't make it even chuckle-worthy to me to know that someone is turning a blind eye to such a serious condition. Also not a huge fan of the part where a guy goes into graphic detail about the serial killery stuff he wants to do to a Heather. I used to read up on similarly horrific and very real stories of victims of serial killers, and that's something that current me would rather not have floating about in my head these days. There's enough to be horrified by in the news as it is. I watch Heathers like I watch Degrassi. There's a deep connection formed between me and the people I see on screen. Even if I've never experienced what the characters go through personally, I can still relate to the emotions and implications of their stories. I see myself in a Muslim teenager who wants to make her parents proud while also living her high school life to the fullest, in a trans guy trying to get his mom to accept him for him, in a Christian girl shunned by her family for having the courage to tell the truth about her rapist brother, and in a selfish, short-sighted guy seeking forgiveness for getting his best friend shot. Similarly, I see myself in Veronica as she seeks to survive senior year unscathed, in JD who feels the only way to deal with the world around him is to punch harder, in Heather Duke as she tries to exert the control she lacked when Heather Chandler was alive, and of course in Martha, whose classmates use her optimism and big heart to drive her to attempting suicide. Heather's doesn't feel like a comedy to me. It seems more as a criticism of society and the cruelty of high school, pointing fingers at internalized homophobia, how much we scrutinize female sexuality, shining a light on ineffective and careless adults, and of course, how harmful strict adherence to cliques are. For me, it's too serious and explores dark subjects in too much detail to be humorous overall. That's not me saying that I think Heather's is dark for dark's sake. The places it goes to all feel narratively justified in its exploration of human experiences that even silly teen romps would rather not touch, like choosing to make the world burn rather than choose between fitting in and being yourself. I didn't ever feel that the story stretched to include its unsavory plot points, as each character and their motivations is well established before they come up. I can believe that the school would reject and humiliate even a Heather for being public about her suicidal thoughts, and that JD would think that it was his place to enact rogue justice on his classmates. I mean, he reads Baudelaire, a fairly big indicator that he's probably not on the up and up. Again, nothing against anyone who finds this show funny. I just can't share the laughter with them. And no, this is not a challenge for someone to try to convince me to do so. Do not attempt to make me find comedy in this because I'm just too empathetic for it. I don't share the experiences and events that made you feel differently about the show. I'm not going to tell you to stop laughing and to find it to be a depression trip with catchy music. So don't do that to me. Well, that's the end of the video. Yeah. Now what? I guess the only update I have is that I'm going to be traveling next weekend, so I'm not sure if I'll get a video out on time or even out at all. And would you look at the time, it's December already. And this video's fan art is actually kinda with the season. I say kinda, but it really is with the season. It's a not a Santa or a not a elf. I like both suggestions. Thank you, Opal, from my Discord server. This particular art comes from Lemawig, and just like the last bit of art that he submitted, it is very, very cute. Of course, the outfit is a lot more color than I really ever wear, so it's technically not realistic, but then again, I bumped a lamp. Of course, the outfit is a lot more color than I typically would wear, but you know, fantasy is fantasy and fan art is fan art, so yeah, I guess that's what it looks like when I don't wear all black. Thank you very much, Lemonwig, and if you've got some fan art that you'd like to submit, join my Discord server. There's a channel specifically for fan art, a channel for keeping up with my videos because YouTube doesn't care to help you do that, and a channel where you can talk to me about just about anything. And if Discord isn't really your thing, I'm also on Twitter at NotVampire. Thank you very much for consuming this video, and until next time. Yeah, ha-cha-cha.